It's been a pretty long day, I gotta say.
I can feel it. Oh, what? And it's a long day still, but we're all here. This is John March from Guitar Talk with John and Jamie here at the 2012 LA Amp and Custom Guitar Show, Reality Web Video, and I'm here with Chris from Quilter Labs, and we're actually talking about a new technology in amplifiers, lightweight, big sound. I'm actually really interested because I have a really bad back, and for me, the idea of a big sounding amp with lightweight is a really appealing concept. Want to tell me about it?
Well, I mean, what Pat did in terms of just making a lightweight amp, Pat Quilter.
Okay.
Pat Quilter is the founder of Quilter Labs, and also he's the founder of QSC Audio. If you're familiar with the pro audio realm, what he's done is he's developed a classic vintage tone, but packaged it in a new technology that allows us to have all that lightweight without sacrificing tone, without sacrificing, you know, the things that are important to a guitar player. So you get the tube tone, you get the dynamics, the sound of a tube amp, the feel of a tube amp. As I like to say, it's not an emulation of a sound. What this does is behaves like a tube amplifier. So as opposed,
so it's responding, it's got some flex, it's breathing, it's dynamically sensitive.
You've got the tone, you've got the feel, and all the dynamics that you would expect out of any classic vintage tube amp. But the weight is, you know, ridiculously less. It's
talk about ridiculous.
Oh, ridiculous is, well, 18.6 pounds for a 200-watt guitar amplifier. You know, I mean, so it's just, you know, rip your head off powerful, and yet at the same time, you know, you don't sacrifice tone for that. And there's plenty of lightweight, you know, Class D is kind of becoming the buzzword of guitar amplification technology. But, you know, Class D in and of itself isn't something that's just easily done, and that's where, you know, one of the things we have on our behalf is Pat Quilter, who, being one of the world's foremost power amp engineers, knows a thing or two about and has sold a Class D amplifier or two in his time. So he knows what he's doing. I mean,
well, talk to me about the idea. So the speaker is really light, obviously, as well, because you're not getting mass in the speaker coil.
Well, no, actually, for what it's worth, the speaker itself, we're using normal ferrite speakers. In some cases, we've selected speakers from the Pro Audio catalog, which allows us to have a fuller range and a more powerful tone across the full spectrum of tone. So, you know, frequency range is what I should say. This way, you can get a little bit more out of your guitar. In fact, that's a common thing that we'll hear from players when they start playing through the Micro Pro. They'll say, you know, I'm hearing things I've never heard in my guitar before. You know, and so,
that's a good thing, actually.
Oh yeah,
we
absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah. And so, or they'll plug their pedal collection in, and one of the things that they'll discover is, hey, you know what? I've never heard tone like that out of my pedal, and it's not, you know, it's not a trade-off where you're, yeah, you know, it's a good amp, but it doesn't really sound good. No, actually, a lot of times we'll have players that'll say, hey, you know, I'll try it. I'm not going to sell my tube amp collection off. And then I get an email a few months later where they're saying, well, we've got tube amps for sale. You guys want one?
So, but 200 watts is, I mean, a fairly huge headroom amplifier. I mean, on a stage, the modeling amplifiers tended to disappear because the overtone series would go away.
You got it.
So what's happening here?
Well, actually, what Pat has done is he's developed a patent-pending technology that behaves exactly like a tube amp behaves. It has high input impedance, so it's going to get the most out of your guitar. It has high output impedance, very much like a tube amplifier. So it does more than just emulate a tone. It acts just like, in fact, I was just playing for a group of folks in here, and they were just shocked. I went from playing an acoustic guitar and getting a great acoustic tone to plugging in, you know, my Strat and getting this great, suddenly, you know, great blues tone out of it. And everyone was just scratching their heads going, how the heck did you do that? And, well, I plugged a mic in and started singing through it too. And so at that point, you know, everyone was just in a state of disbelief. How do you get all that out of a little amplifier? And it's a new technology, so it's not like really, I mean, you can go along and you can play all the boutique amps and enjoy them, and they're great. I mean, if you ever wanted to hear a great tone, you've come to the right place. But the beautiful thing is here's really the first truly solid state amplifier that can hang out with those great tube amps.
I started as a player on a Yamaha GR100 212, which is a solid state amplifier I learned from, actually, Robin Ford was playing one at the same time.
Very good, yeah.
And I was playing solid state, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was really loud. But over the years, the issues with weight have become, you know, for me, at least as a player at my age, I'm a professional musician, and I like the idea of having a lighter weight amp that has big, you know, power behind it and some touch sensitivity detail. I'm really excited about your amp.
But if you're a professional musician, you don't want to give up tone, so you're willing to drag that heavy.
No, my addictions don't want to leave.
So that's the beauty is you can ditch the heavy weight, but without giving up or without sacrificing that great tone. It's a great daily driver. I mean, I'm a big fan of classic vintage tube amps. I own one myself. You know, I've lovingly, carefully restored it. and I don't take it out of my house. I spent the big money, you know, turning it into what it is. The last thing I want to do is go out and destroy it, take it on a flight with me. Oh, you know, heaven forbid I do that, and wind up with the magic tube dust fairy coming to visit me on the flight. You know, I mean, so what I really personally want out of something is just a good daily driver, something I can take out, and you know, it's not breaking my back to take it to the gig.
Right.
Something that sounds great. I plug it in, and you know what? I'm never going to get fired from the gig for bringing that along with me.
Right.
And that's exactly what, you know, Pat has done here.
Right. And they seem like they're solid and really robust on the road. They're going to be solid and be easy to maintain, and basically not have any issues of flight or particular fragility that would go like a 2-amp.
Oh yeah, you can put this in the overhead bin and take it right with you on the flight, and it'll go anywhere in the world. It's universal.
An overhead bin amplifier.
Yep.
Wait, I just said that so you guys could be sure. An overhead bin amplifier.
Oh, we've done it. We've taken a couple up to when we went to visit Guitar Player before we started our advertising campaign with Guitar Player, and it was kind of fun. You know, checking. You ever checked your amp through the baggage machine? It's pretty cool. But again, I can fly anywhere in the world. It'll work in Japan. It'll work in Europe. You just change the cord, plug it in, and away you go. It's a universal power supply. I mean,
that's exciting too.
It's modern technology. So I mean, it's you know, it's what would happen if someone really could, you know, really could crack the code and make an amp that really did sound good, you know. And I'm in some respects, frankly, I'm a little kind of mad at the modern state of the industry, because this could be done, you know. It really didn't require a rocket scientist to do it. Although arguably Pat, you know, he's had a 45+ year career in building power amplifiers. So I'd argue he's, if not the world's foremost, he's probably one of the world's foremost power amp engineers. But he's a musician. So he knows what good tone is supposed to be. Here's a guy who actually owns, you know, he actually has some of the very first electric guitar amps that were ever made, and some of the very first electric, well, at the time they were more like the frying pans. But he's got some of those, and you know, there's a little bit more DNA put into it. But I'm saying, you know, in my opinion, it's better to build something new, to build a new technology, make something great, than to continue to just cheapen the product, send everything overseas. I mean, most of the components of this product are built within 30 miles of where we're sitting. Okay. I mean, and they're hand built in Costa Mesa, California.
Great.
As opposed to shipping everything, you know, overseas, as opposed to finding how I can, you know, sending the bean counters in, make it as cheap as possible. What we've tried to do is, you know, I guess the opposite of what the industry has tried to do. We've really, you know, tried to bring something great to the table.
Well, I mean, this is exciting for me. Something new to the table is an amp with a lot of headroom, a lot of different color options, lightweight and portable with a lot of power. Sounds like a great idea to me. LA Amp Show 2012, John March from Guitar Talk with John and Jamie, Reality Web Video. We're here with Chris. We're here with Quilter Labs Amplifiers. How can they find out about you?
Go to www.quilterlabs.com.
Well, I like the way he did that. See the finger? That's effective there. I like that. Everybody go out there. Thanks a lot for being here with us.
You bet. Thank you so much for coming by.
No problem.
All right.
All right, take care.
Friend.